Hi teachers! I'm here to talk to you about a reading strategy called Reading for Meaning that will help your students dig into text and be better comprehenders. So let's start with, what is this particular strategy, Reading for Meaning? It comes from a book called The Core Six, and in a nutshell, Reading for Meaning offers your students an opportunity to preview some statements before they read, to dig into text and cite evidence during reading, and then to come back and reflect on their learning after they read. How do we do this? Well, there are some steps that we have to take. Here we have the very beginning. The first thing I'm going to do as a teacher is I'm going to select a short passage that my students are going to be reading. And from that passage, I'm going to generate some statements that can be true or false, and I'm going to list them down the middle of my graphic organizer. Then I'm going to lead my students in a preview of those statements. This is going to activate their relevant knowledge, and it's going to help them know what they're going to be looking for as they read. For example, let's imagine that I'm teaching elementary school and my students don't already have a great knowledge of Little Red Riding Hood. What I could do is, I know my students are going to find some evidence for that statement, Little Red was on her way to visit her cousin. I know they're going to find some evidence that goes against, that refutes that statement, and they can cite that piece of evidence there in that left-hand column. As you can see in this one that I created for students that were teaching when I was teaching middle school history, the statements are a little more involved in this one. But I know that the piece of text that I have chosen, the statements I've created are going to be able to be either supported or refuted by that piece of text. The last statement that I have, dropping the atomic bomb on Japan was the right decision. I also know that there's actually information in the piece of text they're going to read that both supports and refutes that statement. So that's going to lead to an interesting discussion as we move on into the other steps. So I've selected my passage, I've generated my statements. Now I'm going to let my students preview those statements so they know what they're getting ready to read. After we preview those statements, they're going to then read the piece of text and look for evidence that either supports or refutes the statements that I've created. This is going to cause them to dig down deep into that text and really get out of it what I want them to get out of it. After they finish reading and recording their evidence, I'm going to give them an opportunity to discuss the evidence that they found with a partner. And then after that, we're going to come together as a whole group and discuss the evidence that we found. We're also going to have an opportunity to extend our learning and thinking by doing some writing about what we learned. So why should I use this strategy, Reading for Meaning? Well, first of all, we all know that we want our students reading grade appropriate complex text. And this allows my students to get into a rigorous piece of text and get out of it what I want them to get out of it, because I'm designing those statements to cause them to dig deep into the text. When they have to cite evidence, we know this is a really important strategy that we want our students doing at all grade levels. And this is built into what this strategy is all about. Then it's also just going to support the core skills of reading, such as finding the main idea, making some inferences, etc. So I'm now going to give you teachers an opportunity to do an activity that will allow you to experience the Reading for Meaning strategy. You're going to go back into our Google form and click on this particular link that will take you to this Google Doc. Now this is using a photograph, so I just want to use this to show you the versatility of the Reading for Meaning strategy. You don't have to use a piece of text, you could actually use any graphic as well. So as you look at this picture, I've created some statements that you are going to either find evidence for or against. You can see those statements there on the screen so you know what you are looking for. After you have had a chance to interact with this particular graphic, I'm going to have you come back and we're going to do one more video that will wrap us all up. So go back into the Google form, click on that particular link for the activity. It will force you to make a copy. After you do the activity, you'll go back to the Google form and see one more video, and I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.